Hello and welcome to Right Decisions, a show designed to give you tools and strategies to be successful in life. I'm Tammy Moye Johnson, and it is indeed my pleasure to bring you this show every week. When you see me dressed this way, you probably can anticipate our focus for today. And you're right, today I'm joined with Jimmy, the fat burning coach Leach, and we're discussing the truth about weight, or should I say fat loss. Jimmy, thank you for partnering with me to share your knowledge about nutrition and fat loss. We're going to discuss some fads and some truths about weight, or as you say, fat loss, right? In the second segment, we'll do that the first segment. Then in the second segment, we're going to have two guests that are going to be transformed within the next few months under Jimmy's training.
Yes. So I'm excited. I know they're excited. I've talked to them, and we're ready to get this done. So I just want to show people the truth about fat loss instead of weight loss. I see so many people focus on weight loss, and the truth is we got to get the fat off the body. For instance, I tell my clients all the time, if you lost 10 pounds and let's say, 3 of those pounds was some muscle, well, what you did, you damaged your basal metabolic rate. And so it's going to be much harder for you to keep the weight off because your metabolism has slowed down. Your body's ability to burn calories decreased. So the only way you're going to be able to sustain weight loss, but actually fat loss, is by adding some lean muscle. And when we talk about adding lean muscle, we're not talking about the muscle that look manly.
Right.
That's bodybuilding. That's a whole different world. We just want to make sure we're focused on some nice lean tone muscle, something that's going to give you some curve, because muscle actually shapes the body. Fat doesn't. Well, fat shapes the body, but not in the way that we like. I have to say that.
That's right.
So, but muscle actually shapes the body. It gives the body curves.
Right.
The nice shoulder, the tapered waist, the toned thighs. So that's what the muscle does in the body.
Well, let me ask you something,
Yes.
because people like me who would like to just lose weight, whether it's fat or not,
Yeah.
like if I lose some muscle and get lean, I'll be okay. And then let's build a muscle. So what would you say for people like that?
I get that all the time, Tammy. And one thing I have to say to people, this is some joke that I tell people. I say, well, if your only goal is to lose weight, let's come over to my house. I'll take you out in the garage. I'll cut one of your legs off.
Oh, Lord, no.
No, that's just a joke. But,
Okay.
but it's bigger than that.
Right.
It's bigger than just losing weight on the scale. We have to make sure that we're actually peeling fat off the body to give that body that look. So we won't hide those nice toned muscles. If you lost 10 pounds, but some of that weight was muscle and
Right,
water,
right.
and that fat was still there, you would be lighter on the scale, but your look would be the exact same. So you'll be a smaller version of the exact same person.
Well, this is what I'm saying. I see some of these people who are just lean looking,
Yes.
not the muscle now. Let's just say they do a lot of cardio and they don't do any weights.
Right.
They look thin.
Right.
I don't mind looking like that first and then build a muscle. What's the pros and cons for that concept?
Well, when you talk about that, Tammy,
Yeah.
what I see when I see somebody have done a lot of cardio to lose weight and they
Right.
look thin,
Right.
what you're talking
Yeah.
about,
Yeah.
to me, I see a overdone body, overdone with cardio, too much. And what happened is they're only sustaining that weight based on the amount of activity that they're doing. If they were to take a week off from doing that amount of cardio, then they will start gaining weight within a week. I can promise you there are some people out there right now that do heavy cardio that has damaged their basal metabolic rate. Sure, they've lost weight, but their basal metabolic rate has slowed down. And the only way they're sustaining that weight is by the amount of cardio output that they're doing.
Right.
So if the amount of cardio output stops, but the food intake stays the same, they'll start to gain weight back.
Yeah,
right
because
away.
you're right. Because I see a lot of runners.
Runners.
They run and they're skinny and they don't do anything
Right.
else.
Right.
So, what's adverse about that? Is it the hormones off base, or why is it so important to make sure that you have your muscles and you're well rounded, I should say?
Well, muscle is the most metabolically active tissue in the body. And if you're doing a lot of running, you have to think, when you're running, the amount of energy that your body needs to take you through that running, the food that you're eating, and the stored fat isn't enough to carry you through that. So now your body going to tap into other stores. It's going to start tapping into some of your lean muscle stores.
Okay.
And you're running, sure, it's pulling from some of the existing fat that we have,
Right.
but it's also pulling from some of your muscle also
That's
to
not
make up for it.
healthy.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not healthy. And when we say muscle, I think a lot of times we're thinking about just lean muscle tissue. Well, actually, that lean tissue, we're also talking about your organs.
Right.
It's eating away at your organs.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, it is. Your organs, your ligaments and tendons in your knee. That's why you see a lot of people that says, I run a lot, but my knees are hurting now.
Yeah, they do the
Well, that's
surgeries.
because your body is eating away at just tissue. It doesn't matter where the tissue where it is on your body. It's just eating away tissue. And what that process is called, that is called gluconeogenesis.
Okay.
Is what that is. Gluco means glucose. Neo means new. Genesis means making.
Okay.
Your body is making new glucose to give you some fuel to take you through what you're doing. It's transforming, it's converting tissue into fuel. This is what it's doing.
Converting tissues into fuel. And so then when you run and you're not building muscles, you're taking away from that.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay. Well, you break that down so good.
Yes,
So
yes,
well.
yes, yes.
So let's go back to the person who wants to. You say the truth about fat loss or weight, and then really it's fat loss they want to do and not the weight. So what do they do? What can they do to burn fat?
Well, we got to make sure we get the right amount of protein, the right amount of carbohydrates per meal. Eating frequent meals. And a lot of times people think that we can't eat carbohydrates. We need to cut carbohydrates out here. People say, let's cut out carbohydrates, low carb diet. Well, sure, you can eat carbs and still burn. Why? Because when you eat carbs is what run your metabolism. However, what you have to do, you have to make sure you're eating the same amount of carbs so that we get in a stable blood sugar. When you're eating different amount of carbs at different sittings, we're actually getting different insulin thresholds. Every time you eat carbohydrates, it is reduced into sugar, which enters your bloodstream. So if we're eating the same amount of carbohydrates, we're going to get the same amount of insulin all throughout the day.
Gotcha. Yeah.
What happened is our muscle cells and our fat cells, they both accept glucose, but they accept glucose at different insulin thresholds. So you could eat carbs all day long as they're the same amount, because we get the same amount of insulin being produced. And that same amount of insulin is pushing those carbohydrates into the muscle. Now, if we ate something different, like a piece of cake, our insulin threshold goes up. So now it's able to push that glucose into the fat cell because the insulin threshold is different. Okay, and we know this is true because if every time you ate food and your muscle cells and your fat cells both accept glucose at the same insulin threshold, that means no matter what amount of carbohydrates you ate, some will go to muscle, some will be stored as fat. But that doesn't happen.
Okay.
That's how we know that different insulin thresholds affect fat storage.
Gotcha. So let me make sure I understand what you're saying then. So the reason why we need to eat the carbohydrates is so that we can have the right amount going into the muscle cells, not into the fat cells.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, great.
You're getting it.
Well, yeah. I mean, you're a great teacher.
Thank you. yeah, you can eat carbs all day long, and but we want to eat the right kind of carbs. And I'll sometimes hear people say, well, what about pasta? Well, that will be a processed food. That's going to react different in your body, although we've been programmed to believe that pasta is good, and it's a whole grain pasta, but that's a processed food. And what I mean by processed, that means a machine has done what your body was going to do.
Wow.
Okay? So what happened is when you eat the pasta, and to break it down a little further, this is very deep here.
Sure.
Follow me here.
I'm following you.
The vitamins and minerals that are in food that come from the earth, that would be like the nuts and bolts that hold everything together. Well, when you take food from the earth and you process it, it loses all of its vitamins and minerals. So it loses all its nuts and bolts. Well, man go back and put the nuts and bolts back in. Those are not the originals. So now we got a structure with fake nuts and bolts in it, which will be the pasta. So now when you eat it, because the fake nuts and bolts in it are not the original, when you eat it, it breaks down faster in your body, causing a different reaction.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely.
You know what? And when you said that, that reminded me of the time that I said, well, Jimmy, you know what? What's the quickest way to lose this belly fat? And I was like, you said, I gave you a plan. I'm like, well, I don't want to eat all that meat. And I said, don't you know meat causes a lot of toxins and all that? And you really said that. You said, you know what? It's not the meat. It's what they do with the meat nowadays.
Absolutely.
That
Absolutely.
reminded me when you said that.
Yes.
You know.
Well, meat is not bad. For me, meat is not bad.
Right,
this is my years of doing this, 24 years. You know, different people may have different beliefs, but we need protein. We get our source of protein from meat. And what I meant by that, Tammy, I meant,
explain that piece again.
Well, we got to make sure that we're getting our organic raised chicken, our grass-fed beef, and those things, because if we're getting the beef with all the toxins in it, Also, you have to imagine, every time you eat food, we feed in our cells. Well, you have what you call a cell membrane, which is the outer part of the cell. And that cell membrane is what determines everything that goes in and out of your cell. So if most of your life you have been eating processed food,
Right.
so now our cell membrane, which protects everything that goes in and out, our cell membrane is flawed. So now if we eating foods that are chemically grown, and those foods are sitting inside our colon so long, well, what happens, some of that toxin begin to seep back into the body through the colon wall and into the body. Now we got cells that are vulnerable because we be eating processed food and our cell membrane is not sturdy. And those toxins can get inside the cell and begin to destroy the cell.
Wow. Can you believe there's time for a break already?
I know.
And then, so for the second segment, you're going to bring up two guests
Yes.
that they just started with you, or they're going to start with you, and we're going to watch them transform in the next couple months, right?
That's right.
You're going to show them what kind of exercise they need to do to lose weight, correct?
That's right.
All right,
That's
so
right.
we're going to take a break. We're going to
Yes.
bring two guests back on. All
Thank
right.
you.
So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice. And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
We couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Welcome back. We're talking about fat loss, or the correct way to lose weight, but we really want to lose fat.
That's correct.
And the truths with that. And you have brought two people with you. Welcome. Tell me who they are.
We have Mary Brown and we have Jennifer Norton. You know, I put out the word that I was looking for two females, and they happily came aboard, and I'm glad that they did so. So this is going to be a journey for 90 days that we're going to take. They're going to follow my guidance, follow my training, and we're going to try to get off as much fat as possible in these 90 days. Fat that's realistic, or weight loss that's realistic. That's what we're going to do.
Okay, great. So what are some things that you would start with them as you begin looking at their goals? Just tell me some of the things you would do, having brand new. You never work with them,
Never
right?
work with them.
This
No.
is the first
This is
time
the
on Right
first,
Decisions.
yes.
Okay.
Yes. So initially, I did a body fat test, and the reason I did that because I want to find out how much lean body mass they have,
Okay.
meaning muscle,
Right.
and how much fat mass they have.
Okay.
And with those numbers, it would tell me how much protein I need to give them for muscle development to keep the muscle so it
okay.
won't go away.
Okay.
And I need to know how much carbohydrates to give them. And early on, I told you that you can eat carbs all day long, but we
Right.
got to eat the same amount.
Right.
So I would set their carbohydrate intake at a certain amount so it'll be sustained all day, every day. But we're going to feed the muscle with the protein, and we're going to get enough carbohydrates to be burned up as fuel, nothing to be stored as fat.
A little bit of oil. Is that right?
Exactly.
No little fat. I remember you said that before. That's what I was saying.
That's right,
Yeah.
that's right, that's right.
And it will be different based on their individual
Right,
bodies.
based on because they both have different amount of muscle mass. So
Right.
the protein intake is going to be a little bit different. The carbohydrate intake might be a little bit different. So I'll just set those numbers, and I'll ask them to follow them, and we'll watch the fat come off. And we're going to include the weight training because you know we're going to make that protein go to work by adding some muscle. Okay.
Great. So what are some things that you would do with them? So
Well, if I get them, I'm kind of doing straight a
help
little bit.
yourself.
So Jennifer, you come over here, have a seat right there. Mary, if you come over here, okay. Now what we're gonna do, we're gonna start with some abs. Now I always tell people when you do abs, let me tell you this: you don't have to do abs to get a six pack. That's not necessary. What we're doing, we're building the core. We're trying to make the core strong. The way you get abs, or where you be able to see the abs, we got to peel the fat off. But we're gonna do abs to build that core. So Jennifer, if you put your hands back here behind you, Mary, you do the same. All right. And what we're going to do is just kind of raise your knees up to your chest, okay, and back down. All right. Now this time you can touch the floor because this is your first time doing it, so you're able to touch the floor each time. So bring your knees up. There you go, and back down. Let's get about 10 of those. Go ahead and get 10 of those. Now, what I want you to do, I want you to breathe out on the way up. Good. Breathe the air out on the way up. Okay. Now the reason why we breathe it out because we don't want any air in our stomach while we doing the exercise because our abs are able to contract more with the air, expelled. Okay.
So
Good.
say it again, Jimmy. Breathe out on
Breathe
the way.
on the way up.
On the way up.
So that our muscles can actually contract. Okay. All right, and relax, relax, relax. Okay. Now, Jennifer, if you would take these. All right. And I think I showed you a little earlier. We're gonna do what we call a squat press. So if you bring your dumbbells up to your shoulder, give me a little wider stance. A little wider stance. There you go. A little wider. There you go. All right. So I want you to stand up and press up at the same time. You hold tight, Mary. And back down. Good. And back up. Press up at the same time. Press up. All right. Press when you go up. Now remember, they just beginning with me. This is the very first time I ever worked with them.
Right, and she's pretty good. What
yeah.
kind of formation should viewers look for when they're doing that?
Well, when you're doing this particular exercise, we want to make sure that we do everything nice and slow. We don't want to be doing it very fast. And if you notice this movement from the side, we want to go right up over here. We don't want to be going out here. We want to make sure we get the shoulders involved. So we want to make sure we just take it nice and slow. Now, I'm going to give these dumbbells to Mary. All right, Mary's going to do a squat and a curl. Okay, Mary, you're going to get a little wider stance also. Okay, all right, chest up. Get the weight down by your side. Now, I want you to
Maybe
stand
you want to
up.
hold my tummy and belly. Good.
Now, I want you to stand up and curl up when you stand up. Okay, so go ahead, stand up. There you go. And back down. Good. All right, and back down. Now, as she gets stronger, we'll take this bench away. Okay, there you go.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, you're looking forward to that.
So what is that working?
All right, now we got the lower body involved. We got the quads, we got the glutes, and we got the biceps involved at the same. These are what you call multi-joint movements. And if you want to burn a lot more fuel, a lot more fat, we want to get multi-joint movements. All right, that's enough, Mary. Good job. Good job. Okay. Now, there I hear you breathing there, but there's a lot of different exercises we can do. You can actually do a lot of exercise at home just using the bench. You don't really have to go to a gym all the time. I think a lot of people think that you have to go to the gym. You just got to, get creative, and I like to get creative with my clients. So, all right. So what we're gonna do now? You're gonna do stand up for me. All right, face this way. Just face it so everybody can see. All right. So now what we're gonna do? We're gonna do a squat and a lateral. This time we're not using the bench. All right. So squat and lateral up. That's right. All right. Keep going. There you go. Squat, lateral. All right. Now I want you to stick your buttocks out as you're going down more. All right. And now the reason why we do that because we don't want to get our knees involved. Keep going. If you don't poke your buttocks out on the way down, your knee's going to become involved. And a lot of times people say, oh, squats hurt my knees. Well, it's only because you're not getting your buttocks out and your knees are actually going over your toes. And so if your knees go over your toes, we're stretching those ligaments and tendons in the knees. Okay? That's right. Good job. All right. Mary? Okay. I'm going to give you something very simple. We're just going to sit here and do a tricep extension over the head. I want you to take both dumbbells. You're going to go up over your head like such. Okay. Now, sometimes I have to hold the arms until they get more comfortable with it. So go ahead and press up. That's it. All right. Now, one thing we don't want to do, all right, if you see Mary going over her head, the weight is going over her head here, we don't want to do that. So me being a trainer, I'm going to correct that. All right, so Mary, we don't want to go over the head. We want to go behind, keep the weight behind your head. Go up, but don't come over your head. That's it. That's it. So here's the difference. If you came over your head, at the top right there, your tricep muscles stop working. And we're trying to hit these triceps so those muscles stop working. So we want to make sure they're engaged the entire time by keeping the weight behind you. Up, but keep it behind you. There you go. Now they're going to be engaged the entire time. Okay? You feel it, don't you? Yeah. Ah. There you go. Just simple tricks like that. All right? And relax. I don't want you to get too tired now. That's for next week.
Uh-oh. How many times are you going to be with them next week?
I plan to get with them probably about 2 to 3 times a week. I'll also give them some things to do at home, some kind of cardio activity. Not too much because we don't want to run. So I'll have them to do cardio based around what's good for them, their schedule, things like that. So it just kind of mixing up, make sure they get the overall body and the cardiovascular, the weight training, the food, everything. That's what we're going to do.
So they're going to do the weights 2 to 3 times a week
2
with
to 3
you,
times a week with me.
and then you're going to depend on what their schedule is, the cardio.
Right.
Gotcha.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So yeah, I hope you guys are excited.
Yes.
All right. All right. So yeah, what we did again, we took the measurements and we're going to come back here
In a couple months.
In a couple months. And we're going to show their before picture, and we're going to show their after picture, and we're going to show you the difference as far as their lean body mass, what they are now, and what they are 3 months from now. Not weight loss. We will show the weight change, but more so I want people to understand the amount of fat that came off the body in that period of time.
Wow.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to that. That'd be great. We're going to inspire a lot of viewers. So the exercise that you show them, you would have them do how many when they meet with you? Are they with you 30 minutes, or how do you know how long to keep individuals, or how would the viewers know how to do their exercise routine?
Well, I don't have a set time frame, but typically the way I do my training stuff, we want to make sure we hit the entire body every time. And that typically takes about 30 minutes. Sometimes it may take longer, depends on the person's ability. If it takes them a little longer to recover for the next set, it may take a little longer. But as they get better and they cardiovascular get better, they get stronger, it may move a little faster. We can actually do it in 25 minutes. So it just depends on that person's ability. So go ahead.
You said
right off
about
the
set.
right off the bat, the number of sets.
Right.
I'll have them to do maybe 3, 4 sets. Initially, I'm gonna have them do about 2 sets because I don't want them to be so sore the very first time. Sometimes you might have a trainer that'll push somebody so hard, they get so sore. You ever had that happen?
Oh, yeah.
And you can't
even
walk after. So my goal is not to make them very sore the very first time because I want them to enjoy it. Yeah, I want them to enjoy it. The biggest thing I want them to focus on is the nutrition that I give them, because nutrition is first and foremost. It's 80% of our success. So we want to make sure that they implement that and get that going first. So it's not about getting them in the gym and trying to kill them. It's not about that.
Right.
It's about easing into it. I'm gonna treat you like a baby. And like one of my clients said, treat me like an embryo. So we're gonna treat you like a baby in the beginning, and as you progress, we're gonna make sure that I'll give you a little bit more each time as your body progresses.
Okay, so but let me ask you about that, because you said they can do the cardio at home depending on their schedule.
Right.
So when you have them do the set when they get with you, is it at a fast pace so they're breathing? You know how you can go
Yes.
is it
Yes.
superset?
Yes. Superset. That's right.
So that their breathing is up, the cardio is up.
Absolutely.
Is that what you would do?
Yes, you can actually get cardio while you're doing a weight training, and that's what I'll do. I'll give them a time period. Let's say I have them do a particular set, as Jennifer did earlier. She did the squat press. I may give her a time limit. I may give her 1 minute rest. After that minute, she begins again. But as her ability increases, I may cut that time down to 45 seconds. Okay, so I'm constantly challenging her, and I'm challenging her body, and so that's how we get her to respond. If we do the same thing all the time, we're gonna get the same result. So we want to make sure we constantly challenge the body. And I tell people, it's like like getting a tan. If I go out in the sun, I get a tan. But if I sat in the shade, I don't get a tan. So I got to constantly challenge my body and make sure it changes. So your body have to adapt. Because every time you give your body something new, it says, I need to adapt by getting better. By getting better. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to constantly challenge it.
I like that idea. So, and you have 2 women here. And so can women start at any age?
Yes,
You be
yes,
65?
yes. Let me tell you this. you don't grow old because you start working out. You can do it at any age. I have clients of all age limits, age group. So the ideal is to begin treat them, no matter what they age, treat them like a baby in the beginning, and as they progress, they will get better and better.
And then see progress even for your older women.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Their body will begin to thrive.
Now, did you want to show some more demonstration, or?
Sure. I mean,
Okay.
here's a good exercise for the tricep, actually, for Jennifer. And what I call this, Tammy, I say this is the squats for the tricep. So I want Jennifer to try
I
this.
gave y'all a little break there.
Yeah. All right. This is what we call dips, bench
Okay.
dips. Very good exercise for the back of the arms. You want to hold your chest up right here. Okay? That's what I call the squats for the triceps. The squats for the, go ahead, Jennifer. The squats for the lower body is like the best exercise for the lower body. This is one of the best exercises for the triceps. So we get our buttocks off the bench.
Okay.
That's right. All right, you want to go down. That's right. Now, here's what she's doing here. Notice she's locking the elbow out. We want to make sure we don't lock the elbow out, because every time you lock the elbow out, the joint take over, the muscle relaxes. So what we want to do, you want to go down, but don't lock out when you come up. Right there. That's it. Right back down. Now we're going to keep constant tension on the muscle the entire time.
Got it.
Okay?
I see her.
Okay.
Shaking.
All right.
Yeah.
Sorry. That's it. So those are just some of the things that we're going to be doing. I'm going to take them through various exercises. It's going to get very intense, so I hope they're ready for it. So But those are just some of the things that we're going to work those large muscles to increase that metabolic rate. As you build those large muscles, your basal metabolic rate increases. And that's what we're going to do.
And then I remember you saying to build the large muscles, you have to do the whole body. You focus on the large muscles and you burn more fat.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
See, I
That's
learned
right.
from you.
Yeah,
Yeah, I remember what you say.
yeah. So, I'm just not cardio driven. I think a lot of people are cardio driven. And you don't want to be cardio driven. Let the muscle work for you. That muscle can burn fat even while you're sitting on the sofa watching TV. Ain't that something? You build more muscle, your body burn fat 24 hours a day. As opposed to when you get on the cardio machine, you could potentially burn some fat. But if you build more muscle, you can burn it 24/7.
Isn't that something? I'm looking forward to seeing you all transform with Jim, and I know he is good and excellent. So looking forward to seeing that, and thank you for coming and demonstrating, and thank you, Jimmy, for being here.
Thank you.
I appreciate your expertise and bringing the guests here. And we look forward, as I said, look forward to seeing your progress in the next couple of months. Perhaps people can go to our Facebook page for updates while they're transforming within the next couple months, okay? It is the Lord's desire for you to prosper in every area of your life, such as health, finances, family, and career. One area that we are limiting our prosperity is in having the healthiest body. Just as what has been explained today, our bodies need to exercise to be at its fullest potential. Same goes for our minds and our souls. We need to exercise our minds by renewing it with the Word of God. The Word of God is the beginning of all things. And what does that mean? True life begins in the Word of God and with Jesus Christ. And He has all the answers, and He's coming back. Will you know Him when He returns? If you do not know Him as your Lord and personal Savior, I encourage you to do so now. Just simply believe with your heart that Jesus died for your sins and confess out loud Jesus is your Lord and Savior, for He is coming back. Thank you for tuning in to Right Decision, a show with a positive message. If you like our show today, like us on Facebook page with Right Decisions with Tammy Moye Johnson, and or send your comments to toolstomake.rightdecision@gmail.com. If you'd like to contact Jimmy, you can do so at thefatburningcoach@yahoo.com or contact him at New Body in Columbia, South Carolina. Thanks again for watching Right Decisions. We will see you next week. Goodbye for now.